before, after, or during the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Communications and Outreach Director for the Commission at woodse3@michigan.gov or 517-331-6309. For the purposes of the public watching and for the public record, I will turn to the Department of State staff to take note of the commissioners present.
Hello, commissioners. Please say present when I call your name. If you're attending today's meeting remotely, please disclose your physical location when I call on you. I'll start with Doug Clark.
I'm present and I am attending the meeting remotely from Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Juanita Curry.
Present, and I am attending the meeting from Detroit, Michigan.
Anthony Eade.
Present.
Brittany Kellum. Rhonda Lang. Steve Flett.
Present.
Cynthia Orton. MC Rothhorn.
Present.
Rebecca Satella.
Present and attending remotely from Wayne County, Michigan.
Janice Follett.
Present.
Aaron Wagner. Richard Weiss.
Present.
Dustin Witches.
Present.
9 commissioners are present and there is a quorum.
Thank you, Department of State. All right. As a reminder to the public watching, you can view the agenda at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. I will now entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Commissioner Witches,
Second.
second made by Commissioner Eade. Is there any discussion or debate on the motion? Hearing none, we will now vote on the motion. All in favor of approving the meeting agenda, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes prevail and the motion is adopted. Without objection, we will now begin the public comment pertaining to agenda topics portion of our meeting. Hearing no objection, we will now proceed with public comment pertaining to agenda topics. Department of State staff, do we have in-person commentary today?
We do. We have 6 who have signed up for in-person public comment and 1 request for an additional in-person public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Individuals who have signed up and indicated that they would like to provide in-person public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. Please step to the nearest microphone when I call your number. You will have 2 minutes to address the commission. Please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer. First in line to provide public comment is number 1. You are now invited to address the commission.
Thank you. My name is Dorothy Munson. I represent the nonprofit, nonpartisan group Proactive here in Grand Rapids. We represent underserved community and the south side of Metro Grand Rapids primarily. I want to thank you for your dedication and hard work. I want to address the state Senate districts in our metro area. District 24 is on the north side of the metro area and has 4 townships in Ottawa County. District 23 is a partial of the south side of the metro area. District 22 includes Cascade Township and 3 other southern counties along the lakeshore, almost to the state line. And these are kind of leftover areas, and so they have very little commonality. It does not represent the voters well. 24, there are 4 townships in Ottawa townships, and there's no commonality with our metro area. It leaves out Cascade Township, including the Gerald Ford Airport, which is an integral part of our city, and many industries are there that local people work at. The Grand Rapids metro area is not being kept together here. They share all kinds of commonalities, including schools, transportation systems, commerce, and much more. I recommend splitting Grand Rapids North and South. Thank you. 2 Senate districts should be contained in the greater Grand Rapids metro area in our county. Cascade Township should be included in one of these districts. There are a number of ways to create 2 districts within the county. For example, 23, the South can include South Grand Rapids, Kentwood, Cascade Township, Wyoming, Granville, and other southern Kent County townships to form 23. The Grand Rapids North-South dividing line will have to move south from where it's currently drawn. For 24, the north can include East Grand Rapids, the north portion of Grand Rapids Township, as well as Walker, Plainfield, Alpine, and Ada Townships. You have done a great job in developing the communities of interest in Kent County, and a few changes would be appreciated.
Thank you for addressing the commission. Number 2.
Hello, commissioners. My name is Sarah and I live in Grand Rapids, and I wanted to comment today as well on the draft state Senate maps. First of all, thank you for the hard work you're doing. I know that you have a very difficult and very time-consuming job here on the commission. I also want to thank you for recognizing the unique communities of interest that we have here in the Grand Rapids area, and recognizing that splitting the city of Grand Rapids is necessary to create maps that are fair and that will give our city and our broader metro area sufficient and fair representation in Lansing. There are 2 specific concerns that I had with the state Senate maps as it pertains to the Grand Rapids area and Kent County. First, for the Northern Grand Rapids Senate District, including 4 townships in Ottawa County, both the Grand Rapids district should be centered around the Grand Rapids metro. We have sufficient population for it, and we have nearby cities as well as suburbs that are very related to the city of Grand Rapids, which the townships included from Ottawa County are not. The effective and efficient representation for us as constituents means keeping our neighbors together in Senate districts that represent the broad and diverse metro area we have. Secondly, I was also concerned to see Cascade Township included in a Senate district going all the way south to Benton Harbor. Cascade is part of the greater Grand Rapids area. Our metro is there, our airport is there, and the majority of Cascade Township is on City of Grand Rapids water and City of Grand Rapids sewer. They do not have that in relation with Benton Harbor or Van Buren County. They really are part of the Grand Rapids metro, and I urge you to include them in the Senate districts that represent our area. Again, I applaud you for recognizing that cities may need to be split in order to create these fair maps, and I urge you to create Senate districts that represent the communities where people live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing the commission. Number 3.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Scott Urbanowski from Kentwood, and I want to first of all reiterate that I'd like to thank you all for all that you've been doing. I have to say I am very impressed by the work that you have put into this process, and you're going above and beyond in terms of public comment and seeking out people's ideas. Another good thing I want to mention is I think the state house maps for Kent County, where I live, those are very good. I think they really accurately reflect communities of interest. You have a Voting Rights Act-based district in Grand Rapids. You have a Wyoming Granville district, which a lot of people across the spectrum were calling for at the Grand Rapids hearing on July 1st. Just a lot of great things going on. I think those districts are very accurate and very competitive and very reflective of of our communities of interest. I do want to make a couple of suggestions. First of all, to reiterate the state Senate districts, I think there is some room for improvement there. As a Kentwood resident, I'd like to see, first of all, I think it is good to split Grand Rapids north and south, but I think that, putting Southern Grand Rapids in with, say, Kentwood and Wyoming, and then maybe some of the southern townships like Cascade, Gaines Township, which is right next to Kentwood and has a lot in common with Kentwood. I think that would be great. You can also have like a Northern Grand Rapids district plus East Grand Rapids, Walker, Grand Rapids Township, some of those other areas that really kind of keep the metro area together. Another thing I'd like to suggest is to try to put the maps online each day if you can. So basically, there are files online with the state Senate districts, but I think there should be actual maps every day to show where you are going and how much progress you're making. And also, I would encourage folks to schedule more time into the commission's schedule to more mapping sessions. Thanks again for all you're doing.
Thank you for addressing the commission. Number 4.
Good afternoon, Commission. As you know, my name is Sarah Howard. I'm the attorney for the AFL-CIO's Fair Maps Project. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here in front of you again today. As I'm sure you suspect, we are thrilled that you are considering the partisan data. We wanted to talk about some nuances with that type of data that we think it's important for you to be cognizant of to make the best use of the partisan information. First, we absolutely believe you are doing the right thing by looking at statewide partisan elections, because we think you want to be able to compare apples to apples between different parts of the state. It's also good to look at a wide variety of such elections for the partisan data. However, we think you should bear in mind that political coalitions change. For this reason, you should give more recent election results greater consideration than the more distant ones. For example, the 2012 presidential election results don't really tell us anything about the political world in 2021. Second, bear in mind that the state Senate is elected every 4 years on the gubernatorial cycle, not on the presidential one. So the voting public is significantly different between the presidential and the gubernatorial years, often differing by over 1 million voters. Because of this, you shouldn't use presidential election data to calculate the VRA districts or the partisan fairness for the state Senate map. You have to look at 2014 and 2018 for the fairness and the VRA districts for the state Senate map. Third, we think that that it's absolutely essential for the partisan fairness criteria to make sure that the winner of the statewide popular vote for a given election wins a majority of the districts that you draw. Perfect proportionality between the election results and the number of seats would be ideal, but it's absolutely essential that a majority of the voters be able to elect a majority of the state legislature. Thank you very much.
Thank you for addressing the commission. Number 5.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for inviting us for the public comment, and thank you very much for all the work here that you've been doing. My name is Ali Magid, and I represent the Islamic Mosque and the Religious Institute of Grand Rapids. And we are actually, despite the name, we're a part of the city of Kentwood, and we represent a significant number of families. The Muslims here in the area is about 10,000, and 2 of the mosques that actually I'm representing fall on the East Paris address. So our address is 3357 East Paris Avenue. So we fall at the verge between Kentwood and Grand Rapids townships. A significant number, about 65% of our congregants actually come from the city of Kentwood. And it actually was a major consideration for us when we planned for the mosque, is to be in the city of Kentwood. And we urge that we stay that way, given the fact that a significant number of our population come from this area. And really appreciate the input that you would have for that. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing the commission. Number 6.
Hello and good afternoon to you all. My name is Chris Herwire. I am a city of Wyoming resident, not the state of Wyoming, but the city just a few miles down the road. I am here today to talk mostly about the state Senate districts that we have for Grand Rapids area. I want to applaud all of you for the work that you have done in putting together districts that really do represent the Grand Rapids metro area quite well. I just wanted to recommend a few potential tweaks that could fix a couple areas, as a couple people before me mentioned Cascade Township being lumped in with a district that goes all the way down to South Haven, Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, does not really represent community of interest in the same way that it could if it were with neighboring communities. So I took the liberty earlier today of submitting a map of 2 state Senate districts, slightly tweaked from what you have on the public comment portal. It's IDP 4701. If you would do me I would appreciate it if you would take a look at it. It basically takes out, for the southern Grand Rapids district, portions of the city along the ward line, wards 2 and 3 in Grand Rapids serve as a pretty good split in terms of community of interest there. So that's a few precincts south that it would adjust, and it would take in Gaines Township as a result. This would allow the Northern District to take in Cascade, those small portions of Grand Rapids, East Grand Rapids, and then take out the portions of Ottawa County that are drawn into that Northern Grand Rapids district. Additionally, this would allow a lot of people in Ottawa County to have one of their requests made of having a Ottawa County community of interest, in that opening up those 4 townships in Coopersville would allow most of Ottawa County to maintain its own state Senate district. I thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful meeting.
Thank you for addressing the commission. That concludes our first round of in-person public comments. We are now going to move on to the first round of remote public comments, and then we will come back for people who have requested a second in-person comment. So individuals who have signed up and indicated that they would like to provide live remote public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. I will call on your name and our staff will unmute you. If you're on a computer, you will be prompted by the Zoom app to unmute your microphone and speak. If you're on a phone, a voice will say that the host would like you to speak and prompt you to press *6 to unmute. I will call on you by your name. If you experience any technical or audio issues, or we do not hear from you for 3 to 5 seconds, we will move on to the next person in line and return to you after they are done speaking. If your audio still does not work, please email us at redistricting@michigan.gov, and we will troubleshoot so that you can participate during the next public comment period at a later hearing or meeting. You'll have 2 minutes to address the commission. Please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer. First in line to provide public comment is Anthony.
Good afternoon, Commission. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know why it takes so long to unmute, but whatever. So just a quick note, the live stream is not on the Secretary of State YouTube channel. You guys have your own YouTube channel. Okay. And then, okay, that's cool. Just in general, it's good to see you guys, getting the hang of the mapping and all that. I think it's kind of, I can see you guys moving along and getting better at it as time goes on. So kudos for that. I'm still just kind of concerned about, the process. I think, it's getting better, but just, I intended to make comment the last 2 days, but sorry, I missed it. But I still want to make the point that that new chair election was unhinged. It was chaotic. It was very strange to me. Yeah, I mean, they had motions being laid upon the table and seconded that were almost circumvented by people proposing new votes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I agree with Mr. Gallant that it probably should have been the first order of business on that day's meeting. I mean, you had people proposing bracket style voting without proper consideration. And I also think it was just really disorganized, but I appreciate the effort to make it better. So thanks. And then as I missed the last 2 days, I wanted to note the other day when I found it strange. I agree with Commissioner Lang when I thought it was odd for Commissioner Rawthorne to take exception at Commissioner Wagner's mention of the presiding chair's attendance for whatever reason in considering the nominations for the new chair. I think it was 100% as valid as comments made about Lang's virtual attendance, but it's all right. That's it for process. And then on the maps, my last comment is I think number 19 with Dearborn and Taylor is just, there's something about it. It was the first district drawn in the Metro Detroit area, and I think it's kind of boxing you guys in. I'm not really also seeing the justification of Dearborn and Taylor and Dearborn Heights other than maybe it just meets the population requirement. But I don't know if you could explain that. Thanks.
Thank you for addressing the commission. We will now move on to Sarah Lambie.
Okay. Thank you for letting me speak. First of all, I just wanted to thank the commissioners for taking the time to take on this really important job. I just wanted to express a couple of concerns that I had. The first is about getting the draft maps on the website. I understand that you're trying your best with the process of publishing the draft maps online daily as quickly as possible. But even though you posted the Senate plan yesterday, it's not in an accessible format for the general public to view unless they have a mapping program. And my concern with that is at this point, really the only way to see what you're working on is to watch the meetings, and not everyone has the time or resources to watch multiple meetings per week. So I would really appreciate if you could find a solution to get the draft maps online in a way that is accessible for everyone as quickly as possible. And my other concern is with mapping time. I believe more time is needed for mapping in order for it to be done well and correctly. Many suggestions have been made on how to add more hours of mapping to the commissioner's schedule, but I still haven't seen it discussed in a meeting. So I would urge you to schedule more time to finish drafting maps online so that this important job can be done in the best way possible. And again, I thank you for taking this on and for all the time that you put into it. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing the commission. We'll now move on to Mr. James Gallant.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, James Gallant, Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition. These are my opinions. And I appreciate some folks are starting to, follow along and about the process and the rules of procedure. And I think that now we can, from the former speaker from a Fair Maps project, that, their attorney has now spoken, and I'm assuming that they use these words on purpose, said absolutely the right thing. I'm assuming that that includes the rules of procedure and the way that you're running along and the Roberts rules and all that. So we now can clarify that with our attorney. But I believe, in my personal opinion, that you are relying upon illegitimate, allegedly voted upon agreements establishing sidebar virtual rules. Commissioner Lang spoke of this. Commissioner Witches spoke of this. And these sidebar rules. Well, those were not in the minutes. They're not found in the minutes. See, Mike Brady explained to you on September 25th last year in the 2020 to Commissioner Clark's question about what's in the minutes is that it has to be in the motion. It has to be it has to be an actual decision. And it has to be in the minutes. And that's a requirement of the Open Meetings Act. So we're just going to go back to say your decisions are listed in the minutes. And Sarah Reinhart was speaking, well, the deliberation is going to be the 27th. The week of the 27th of September. Well, you mean this is not deliberation? You're not actually deliberating towards a decision that you have to vote on, which is required. And, this part about under consideration, it's facilitating the discussion while it's under consideration, which is the motion second. And that's where the collaborative part comes from. So you're all doing it together because you all agreed upon the immediately pending question. So that's where you're moving away from the collaborative process to this in between, making it up on the fly. And Commissioner Zatella's got 2 hours on the floor and she's mapping all the maps all of a sudden. And you got one person explaining why the other person drew the map. And you got Commissioner Curry, asking other people to explain because she clearly does not understand. And, we did give you folks $6 million to run this out. So could you get that girl a new pair of glasses so she can actually see what's going on? Because that's not informed.
Thank you for addressing the commission, Mr. Gallant. We will now move on to Layla.
Layla, you're unmuted if you would like to proceed with addressing the commission.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Leela. I'm a representative for the APIA vote. I want to thank you all for your hard work and dedication to the great state. We see how hard you're working on our district maps. We want to support your maps, but we're concerned as they're not available for all of us to review on the website. So I too would like to request that the commission makes the draft maps more accessible to the public. I do want to thank you as the website was updated last night with the 2 September 14th map files. We want to support your hard work and we want to provide public comment on the draft maps. We just need access to them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for addressing the commission. We'll now move on to Ken Whitaker.
Hello, commissioners. My name is Ken Whitaker. I'm here to employ you to allow more time for mapping. For transparency and accessibility, you were going to release maps daily. I understand that technology sometimes gets in the way, but when that happens, it's not appropriate for us to just push through, ignoring and eroding the trust that this commission has to be successful. Thank you for releasing maps last night, but the previous release was on August 23rd, which was over 3 weeks ago. The Senate map release last night was in a format that has a very steep learning curve. I want you to think back about a year when you were very new to this process and think about the understanding you had, and then empathize with the everyday citizen that have not had the training that you've had when it comes to reading those maps from last night. The only way to see what you've been working on and see the progress is to sit through each and every meeting in its entirety, and that's not a fair and equitable process for the public to weigh in. I know you're ready to deliberate, but it's important for the fairness of this process that you allow more time for mapping and public comment. I'm also concerned with how commissioners are talking about public comment. At the meeting yesterday, some commissioners mentioned that they didn't want to change maps based upon comments received post-drafting. These are drafts. The public comment process is ongoing. The public must not lose trust in this commission by thinking that our input is no longer valid or doesn't matter. Certainly take time to vet public comments properly. And of course, there will be competing opinions, but to totally disregard any feedback on maps, as commissioners alluded to yesterday, some commissioners alluded to yesterday, is completely unacceptable and not what the voters of this state called for. We've lived under partisan gerrymandered maps all of my 46 years, and we elected a commission of citizens to end this. I implore you to allow more time for maps. I implore you to make sure that you're releasing these maps on the daily and to allow more public comment. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing the commission. Catherine Schmidt.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity to address the commission today. I really appreciate your time and your work on this. I would also say I agree with the comments from some of the previous speakers about accessibility to the maps and room for improvement on that. It's something that we can certainly work on going forward. But the main point that I would like to speak to, I'm a resident of the greater Lansing area. I live in Potterville, out in a small town, and I work in economic development throughout Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton County area. And I'm very concerned about what has been defined as a community of interest and the way that the rural outlying communities of this area are being sort of lumped in with the more urban communities that surround Lansing and East Lansing. And my biggest concern is that the small communities, the things that we would consider placemaking or the agricultural based communities, are going to lose their voice if this map goes through as presented. When we think about what makes a community of interest, it should never be a one-way thing. It's true that some people in the rural areas do sometimes make their way into Lansing, but many of them don't. And very few of the people from downtown Lansing or Ingham County in the more urban areas make their way to the rural outlying areas. Communities should have a common location, they should have common interests, and they should have a common history, common social, economic interests that would define them and bring them together so that they can be represented by someone who understands how to articulate the values that matter most to them. Someone that lives in downtown Lansing is not going to be concerned about agriculture or maybe the roads that would need attention in outlying counties, nor are they going to understand the Amish community or other things like that that are active parts of the area where I live. And for many business owners, it's concerning that they would be losing their voice in our state Senate if this map is approved as is. So I would strongly urge that the commission redraft that. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for addressing the commission. We will now move on to Andrea Smith.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Andrea Smith. I live in Charlotte, Michigan, and I represent a group of women called the Eaton County Republican Women's Alliance. And I just want to say, first of all, the whole fact that this Secretary of State has anything to do with this is a huge concern for me. And I am concerned that some of the commissioners that were actually brought on are not actually who they say they are and what they represent. A lot of people from Lansing, I used to live in Lansing, you guys are talking about grouping Ingham County and Eaton County together. And I used to live in Ingham County. I know Lansing well, East Lansing well. You know, those people are like-minded. And I moved out of the city and into the rural community to get away from crime, which is big in Ingham County. And we have kind of already a spillover of that in Eaton County because of the jail that's here. People get released out here. They're not able to get back to wherever it is that they came from. People move out to rural areas because of the school districts. I just think it's really a bad idea to lump Ingham County with Eaton County when we have other areas, Berry, Ionia, that are more like-minded as we are. And I would just really appreciate if you guys would actually take that into consideration when you're doing these. Because like Katie said, we really don't have a lot, you know, Frontier Days, people from Lansing are not coming out here for things like that. And they don't understand what we're doing out here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for addressing the commission. Randolph?
For the purposes of the public record, participant number 8 and 9 are not currently present.
8 and 9. Okay, so we will move on to, I'm not sure if it's Tara or Tara Copipes.
Hi, good afternoon, Commission. My name is Tara Kopitz, and I'm a Clinton County resident, and I reside in Grand Ledge. I've been local to the area my entire life. I am concerned with the redistricting plan to group Clinton County in with East Lansing, Lansing, and Ingham County for the South Central region. There are distinct differences between the urban areas of East Lansing and Lansing compared to the rural areas within Clinton County. My family and I live in a rural portion of Clinton County. We value our freedoms to house livestock, farm our land, discharge firearms, and use our property for other outdoor various recreational activities. I do hold great value in that our current 24th district represents the rural area where I reside. I also do appreciate that our senator resides within the rural area that they represent. They're most familiar with the rural interests of the counties and district that they live in, and they're more apt to be in the know of what is most valued with their local community. I would like to end this in just stating again that I don't agree with the redistricting plan for Clinton County to move within the South Central region. I would like to see that Clinton County remains with its other urban counties, since there is such a great difference within the Lansing and East Lansing locations. That is all that I have to say. I really appreciate everyone for the time here today. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing the commission. We'll now move on to Katie Smith.
For the purposes of the public record, number 11, 12, and 13 are not present.
Okay. All right. So that's going to conclude our opportunity for first in-person and remote public comment. So without objection, we will now hear from individuals seeking to provide a second 2-minute public comment. Hearing no objection, we will now proceed with individuals seeking to provide a second 2-minute public comment. Individuals who have signed up and indicated they would like to provide in-person public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. You can step to the microphone when I call your number. You will have 2 minutes to address the commission as before. Please conclude your remarks when the 2-minute timer has ended. And then, as always, we remind people to go to the public comment tool and share your comments in writing, including any specific areas of the map about which you are speaking. The public comment tool is available at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. First in line to provide public comment is number 1.
Good afternoon again, Commission. My name is Sarah Howard. I represent the AFL-CIO's Fair Maps project. Your staff is working on analyzing the partisan fairness of the current draft you have of the state Senate map. We've taken a rough crack at analyzing the partisan fairness data ourselves based on the screenshots from the meetings and the drafts as they currently exist. We think that the numbers may be off by a small amount because of that, but here is what we found so far. We hope this information is useful to you as you think about what tweaks you are going to make to ensure partisan fairness in your next draft. You have 6 districts in the current draft that typically vote at least 70% for Democratic candidates, and you have 0 districts that typically vote at least 70% for Republicans. Of the 38 Senate districts that you drew, 21 of them are more Republican than the state as a whole. That means that in a hypothetical 50-50 election, Republicans are likely to enjoy a 21-17 majority in the legislature. To get a majority of seats from this map, Republicans would need to win 47% of the popular vote, and Democrats would need to win 53% of the popular vote. We want you to succeed in drawing truly fair maps. But if you draw final maps that are only marginally better than the current ones that we have right now, it would be a failure to everyone who voted to create this commission. We urge you to continue to work toward partisan fairness. We appreciate everything that you're doing so far in that regard and in meeting all of the other constitutional criteria that you must meet. Thank you again so much for your efforts.
Thank you for addressing the commission. That concludes our second in-person public comment. So now we will move to the second live remote public comment. Individuals who have signed up and indicated they would like to provide live remote public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. We will use the same process as the first round. First in line to provide public comments is Mr. James Gallant. You are now invited to address the commission, and you have 2 minutes to address the commission.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, I can
James
hear you.
Gallant, Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition. These are my opinions and a couple of comments concerning the other comments. And today's notice, public meeting notice, does not mention this second 2-minute round of public comment, and it says 2 minutes total. So that's misinformation. Please correct that. And also, the former speaker was saying you're about to deliberate. Could you explain to everybody how this process is going to begin? That you're going to start deliberation the week of the 27th. How's that pan out? I didn't find that in any rules or anything. And you have published draft maps. So now the 45-day comment period begins. But you're going to not do that. You're going to publish maps. You're going to get comments back. You're going to publish them again, and you're going to do all this. Direct contradiction of this appears of the Constitution. But now back to the the rules of procedure. Yesterday's meeting, Commissioner Witches requested a point of order. And then he answered his own point of order. And that's based on those sidebar rules. And it says that the chair is not going to have any more authority. The chair does not answer the point of order. The member does. And Commissioner Witches answered his own point of order, but it appears he lied to the commission and the chair and to the community. He said that the rules of procedure concerning the consensus building, the collaborative map process, the consensus building. He said the rules of procedure, and then he pointed out that it's now his turn. It's not that way. It's this way. Well, the executive director stated in I guess it's that process paper. It's not even in the process. It's not even it's not even in a policy format. But the executive director, Hamtramck, stated very clearly the consensus building process is not contained in the rules of procedure. So he lied. And he's trying to say this is the rules now. And it's not. It's process overriding rules is what this is. And, so please, let's get a special meeting. Let's get a report from your litigation attorneys, because I think you people don't think that the rules are important enough that the court would reverse your decision. This was told to me by one of the top folks that have advised you. I talked to him for about an hour and a half. And
Thank you for addressing the commission. This concludes our public comment for this afternoon. However, I'd like to mention that all emailed and mailed public comment is provided to the commission before each meeting, and commissioners also review the public comment portal on our www.michigan.gov/MICRC website on a regular basis. We appreciate everyone who provides public comment in whatever way you choose and invite you to keep sharing your thoughts, communities of interest, and maps. At this time, we are going to continue our unfinished business. Agenda item 5A. Without objection, we will continue with the draft mapping of alternative Senate districts. Hearing no objection, we're going to proceed with that process. So as of yesterday, we actually ended on my turn, but I wanted to let everybody know that looking at the maps last night and looking at the Ann Arbor area and analyzing the public comment that we've received in the different communities of interest, I decided to abandon the concept of trying to create a district that divides Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. So I am satisfied with that area as of our maps as of right now. So if someone else is interested in creating an alternative map, I will hand this process over to MC so that, because he is in the room, so he can facilitate conversations about additional Senate maps at this point.
Thank you, Chair Zatella. I think we should acknowledge that Commissioner Orton has joined us. Thank you. Glad you're with us. So we have, are there any other proposed alternatives, or do we want to sort of put a pin in our Senate maps for the moment and move to congressional? Okay, so I've got two hands, Commissioner Orton first, and then Commissioner Eden. And then I see Commissioner Clark next.
I do feel that there are several other areas where we've received significant conflicting public comment, but I'm not prepared to present any at this moment.
Thanks, Commissioner Eden.
Yeah, agreed. We're certainly going to make changes to the first draft Senate plan going forward, but I think we'd be better served with getting started on congressional at this point. And that'll also give the public more time to, publish maps on our website and give us comments about it as time goes on.
Commissioner Clark.
Today we received quite a few comments about the Grand Rapids area from different people. It may benefit us to take a look at that today and just discuss what we've done and if changes are appropriate at this point.
Commissioner Clark, are you suggesting that we do that in an open session, or are you thinking about homework and then coming back on Monday?
Open session.
Okay. Would you like to bring up the map and sort of help direct that?
I will, yeah.
I think you said yes. Is that correct?
Yes, I said yes, I will.
Okay. And I see Commissioner Witches, sorry.
Excuse me, I would have to agree with Commissioner Eden, Commissioner Orton. We should move to
the congressional maps at this particular point and allow public comment to come in so that we can make informed decision with the public comments that are going to be received. Excuse me. Otherwise, we're just going to be chasing public comment all over the place. So my suggestion would be the congressional map at this point.
Commissioner or Vice Chair or Chair Zatella.
I concur with that sentiment. I don't want to, every time we get comments coming in saying we need to go back and look at things, I think we should just let it set over the weekend, especially because there's a lot of people who have commented that the maps aren't readily accessible to them right now, and they want to be able to download them and look at them. And hopefully that functionality will be up and running by the weekend. And I think we're going to get more meaningful comments over the weekend and then evaluate them then, because otherwise what's going to happen is they're going to become available and then we're going to redo that process again on Monday.
Commissioner Clark, what do you think about that we can have I think that we may feel a little bit of motivation right now to move on.
Yeah, it appears that's what the consensus is. So I'm perfectly willing to go by that, and we'll move on to the congressional maps.
Excellent. And I think you were acknowledging that we did get a lot of input about the Grand Rapids area. We got input about East Lansing area. So we will, as commissioners, continue to review the public comment portal and of course create maps. And I see Commissioner Lett also has a hand up.
I agree with that. And I wanted to specifically address Mr. Whitaker's comments on the today. I take it he was talking about me because I just wanted to make the comment yesterday. We are not going to not consider comments that come in. My comment was based upon another part of public comments. The portal remains open. That's a fallacy that has been proposed by people that we're going to close it. We're not. We're going to keep it open. We're going to continue to keep comments coming in, and we will consider all comments. And all comments will consist of those that come in now and those that have come in over the last year.
Well said, Commissioner Lett. Thank you. Commissioner Clark.
So as I understand it, we're going to move on to congressional maps, and we've identified the Lansing and the Grand Rapids area to go back to specifically at this point and review at some later date. I'd also like to include that northern district, but I don't want to talk about that until Commissioner Lang is with us.
Excellent. Thanks, Commissioner Clark. So at this point, I think we are ready to move on to our congressional maps, but I'm not sure who should start. Do we have any guidance on who will begin our congressional mapping process?
I believe we're starting with Janice, because she would have been next in line after me yesterday, I believe.
Okay, thank you. And I see a hand from Commissioner Witches.
Just something to think about. I was thinking about this last night. Since the U.S. Congressional District has a lot more weight to it than the state house and state senate, as in the votes that the electorate casts is not only for our state, but it technically affects the entire nation. I would like to see the population deviation be 0 on all of them. Now we have an odd number. So one of them is going to have 1 or -1. But I do feel like that is very important. And if we need to go into a block level to assign 1 or 2 and break up one particular voting district to do that, or voting precinct to do that, I feel like that's very important and should be done.
Thanks for that. And you see Commissioner Clark and I see Commissioner Orton.
Yeah, I think we should take our consultant's recommendation from yesterday. And as I understood it, it was when you do the congressional maps, do it from, don't get down to the 0 level of population, get it a general concept and agree on the general concept, and then make adjustments and whittle it down to 0 or 1 person difference, because that's going to be hard to do as we move along. So I would suggest that we approach it like that. So let's say try to get every every district, below 0.5%, let's say, and then come back and get down to the block level or the precinct level to do the adjustments. So I would support that, and I think I characterized it right. If John could comment on that.
We'll let John go after Commissioner Orton.
So I've tried it both ways, getting it down to 0% deviation as I go, or trying to get it below 0.0 something and then changing it later. And that didn't seem to work very well for me. So I would like to hear more from our consultants about how to do it. But I was able on a test run to get 10 districts done that are down to 0, although there are 4 extra people. So we're going to have 4 districts with 1 extra person, or however we're going to do that. That's according to my calculations anyway, but I would like to know how they think works best with their experience.
John and then Kim.
Okay. So my experience with doing this is, you get the concepts that you like for congressional districts, and you're pretty clear on what it is you intend to do. Then in order to get down to 0, you do a little bit of what you did in the Detroit area, where you end up locking some districts, because in order to do this, you have to focus on one district at a time. And for example, you might say your first district, you're going to get that one to 0, and you're going to have an adjacent boundary with one other district. And you're going to sort of, keep that first district exactly the way you have it, so it's at the 0 point. And then you're going to work on another district in kind of a round robin fashion, like one at a time. So you get each one, and you know that you can reconcile them with adjacent districts. So you can say, okay, I'm going to get one exactly right. Then I'm going to pick another district, get that exactly right. And then there's going to be a boundary between, say, District 2 and District 3, and you'll reconcile between them as well. So it's sort of a second process to what you described, where you get pretty close, and then you go through and you make them all exact. And again, you just do it one at a time and circle through each district, and you'll know which districts you're trying to equalize between. And that usually would happen at the very lowest level. You get a township you've already split, and then you've got a precinct that you split. And if we're careful, we can, keep the actual equalization in one area rather than 4 or 5 areas along a border, which gets much more complicated.
Thanks, John. And sounds like in summary, we will get to what Commissioner Witches is intending in a process. We do have our general counsel. Sorry, Kim, we'll get to you right after general counsel.
No problem.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Rothhorn. I just wanted to highlight for the commission's benefit in the mapping process document on page 3 that outlines your district details for congressional 13 districts. The ideal district size is 775,179 people. The deviation, the goal, obviously 0 deviation is the ultimate goal, but the range that's listed is plus or minus 0.5%. So the size that and the range that the commission is striving for, again, is very very small, between 773,303 people through 779,055 people. So I just wanted to highlight that for the benefit of the commission. Thank you.
Thanks, General Counsel. Kim.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. I bring greetings from Providence, Rhode Island is where I am today. I would concur with John, certainly in terms of trying to get the overall concept down as you can. The other thing I would add to it is that it may be that you'd want to wait until you get all 3 plans in close to where you want to be, and then try to balance between them, because other lines may come into play. So certainly looking at congressional as well as state Senate and then state House, you kind of look at all 3 of them and trying to bring them down to that 0 degree if you want to do that. But certainly knowing where the other lines are will probably help you in trying to get one person, one vote.
Thank you, Kim. So at this, oh, and I see Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I just wanted to run a quick analogy on the concept. I used to be in the software development area, and that's what we did. We had a conceptual design put together, and then we went down to the detail level after we all agreed on a conceptual design. So I see it very similar to that, and I would concur that that's the way we proceed.
Thanks for that analogy. I believe we are ready to hand it to you, Commissioner Vallette. Are you ready to do some collaborative mapping with the congressional districts?
I am.
John, you want to?
Okay, just, for the benefit of the commission and the public at large, I have here a blank map that is adjusted for the correct population that the general counsel mentioned for the target population for congressional districts. As a starting point, I've created this plan, and it has all the features of the Senate plan drawing process that we did before. So we should be able to bring up information as we have in the Senate plans. But again, this is a starting point with nothing in it.
Thanks for orienting us. Janice. Commissioner Vallette, you have the floor.
Okay, does the commission have a suggestion on to where I should start?
I do believe there are several commissioners who have drafted some plans, so feel free to speak, commissioners, if you'd like to help. I see Commissioner Eid.
I think part of what made doing the Senate plan harder was that, we started in the Upper Peninsula. Because then once we got down to Detroit, we had to readjust a lot of what we did due to the VRA concerns and due to the population there. So I'm just wondering if it might be more efficient to start in the Detroit area for these.
Commissioner Orton.
Do we have Mr. Adelson with us today?
We do not.
I just wonder if we will need him for those.
Detroit.
Commissioner Witches.
I think we would be safe to start in Detroit because we have an idea of what we're looking for in regards to percentages of what districts should be, because I'm assuming it's going to follow roughly the same as the Senate district in regards to minority population. So we can actually start there and have a starting point, I suppose. If we do it wrong, I'm sure he'll let us know. So.
Commissioner Vallette.
Okay, I'm going to ask Commissioner Orton to help me. So would you turn your mic on so they can hear what you're saying to me?
But I haven't done those down there.
Okay, so can you move south to Detroit? I guess we're starting there, right?
You do not have to, and it was the recommendation, yes.
Well, I am taking the recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the metro area, just as a starting point, I have the population of each of the counties listed. So that gives you an idea of how much population is in this area.
So Wayne County alone is more than 2.
That's correct.
And I wonder if the overlay that we had when we were doing the Senate maps, which is that cities overlay, the neighborhoods, the Detroit neighborhoods, if we can get that overlay, that might help Commissioner Vallette also keep the neighborhoods whole while we're doing this. If that's, yeah.
Did you want me to bring up the neighborhood map?
Yeah, do that.
Okay, just a moment.
And Commissioner Vallette, one of the things that we're going to struggle with in Detroit is, with the VRA is trying to make sure that we have a balance of white and minority. So if you do decide to keep the whole of Detroit together, it will be a high, almost 90% population. So you have to decide somewhere just to split the city somewhere, maybe up to 2, maybe 3 districts. It's not clear, just 2. So I guess what I was going to offer is that if you go in knowing that you have to split it somewhere,
okay,
that may be what you want to think about. Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I completed a congressional map and had a mail off to the EDS folks.
Can you take your hand away from your mouth, Commissioner Clark? We can't hear you very well.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry. I had a congressional map that I submitted to EDS that we could bring up if you want. And I believe it had Detroit split into 3 districts, moving out into the suburbs on each of the congressional maps, on each of the districts in the congressional map. So
Thanks,
if
Commissioner
that's
Clark.
you want to take
We
a
do have
look
the
at-
Secretary of State who can help us with that.
Hello, Commissioner Clark. This is Sarah Reinhart with the Department of State. Per the process document adopted by the Commission, for a map to be shared during a mapping process session, the map has to be sent to your line drawing consultant as well as our office, so it can be maybe publicly posted for the public to view prior to discussion. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll just comment. I mailed it to our executive director yesterday to forward on to EDS and whoever, because she's the focal point for all the communications to the vendor.
Yeah, apologies. The document, the process does state that it needs to be sent directly to us so it can be posted on the website.
Doug, that still means you could look at your map and help collaboratively draw with Commissioner Vallette if you'd like.
There I will.
Okay, I would like that, Commissioner Clark, if you would maybe start me out where we should split.
Okay, let me take a look at what we're talking about Detroit.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Let me see what I did. Okay, what I did, let me start over on the east side. What I did was I took that area that was next to Grosse Pointe and then in Detroit, and then I moved it up north into East Point. And let me back up. I took Grosse Pointe area, and then I moved it up into Roseville and Warren and Madison Heights and Sterling Heights and captured all that area. That's what I did. That's one, that didn't include Detroit. I thought it did when I looked at the map. So I have Detroit in 2 different districts. And I believe what I did in the city of Detroit was I broke it at Woodward and I came down to on the east side.
So could this be
Where I came down to the Edsel Ford Freeway and then went a little bit to the west. I just passed the lodge. And then I came back down and went over. I went into Delray, just the Delray area, and then into the Dearborn area, Ecorse, Lincoln Park, and Allen Park. It's a big district. And Dearborn Heights, Garden City, Inkster, Westland, and Wayne. All of that was one district coming out of Detroit.
Okay, so you're saying you started at Woodward?
And I went east to Grosse.
Okay, so
to Grosse.
can you let us know what area you started at? So John can.
Highland Park is bisected by Woodward.
Yeah, it went right through Highland Park. So Woodward goes right through Highland Park. And I went down to.
Okay, you started at Woodward and you took all the area from Woodward to Highland Park?
I went, yeah, on the east side. I went.
Commissioner Clark, can I try to help translate?
Yes, please.
Please do.
Janice, so if you zoom in and the northern section, yep, they're between Ferndale and Hazel Park. Yeah, and I think, John, you know where Woodward is, right? Yep, you got it. That's it.
Yeah, correct.
And so I think what he was suggesting, Janice, was that and heading east and creating a district.
So we're gonna take Ferndale?
Yeah, I was going to recommend pick one town that's in one of the districts that you want to create, and let's put that town in if it's entirely in a district.
Okay,
So
And-
I did-
which town?
Yeah, I
Go
did
ahead.
not have Ferndale in it.
Say that again, please, Commissioner Clark.
I didn't have Ferndale, but we could put Ferndale in and work from there. If you want.
So
What do you
it
think?
sounds like in the district he's talking about, it's not including Ferndale.
No, it's not. Actually, I think it's, no. Once, it only includes the part of Detroit that's east of Woodward. So go to 8 Mile and then head east from Woodward. I mean, this is a big district.
okay, so from Woodward,
Okay, so is this approximately where Woodward is? This is
Correct.
75 right here.
yes.
I think Woodward's a little further over to that yellow line, I think.
So can you take back to that other, not that one, the other one? I'm sorry. So. Can't read that.
Okay, so I'm clicking on a precinct that should be to the east of that, and if I don't have the right line, it's
Okay,
still
right there
to
where
the
the
east.
fifth, where you've got, I think it's a 51. We'll start
Yeah.
there.
Okay,
So, yeah, I would go further west and further west. Now I have a trouble reading it because I got a
Yeah,
split
there's-
screen.
sorry, there's all the numbers of the population. Let me turn the population labels off.
Where, yeah, do that.
Okay, so again, this is I-75 here. And
Yep,
I
so you got-
think, is this
further-
lot? No.
Further
And
west,
then-
that's John R. So you gotta go further west a little bit and then I think Woodward is one more district over, one more
Okay.
precinct.
I'm gonna try one more view that may have streets a little better labeled.
Okay, well, yeah, I've got a small screen right at the moment because I have to split it between the other. Yeah, so I think come over one more precinct and you're at Woodward.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I see this as Woodward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
that is Woodward.
So, okay,
So go over to
Right.
that, to Woodward,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
do, under the number 1 there, that,
Okay, so this is in Oakland County, I believe, in Ferndale.
cool.
But
And
you
that
want
wasn't,
this-
no, I don't want to. I'm gonna go, eventually
Okay.
go west.
okay, I
to
want
get-
to go south and
Yeah.
take that section.
So following the Woodward boundary for the moment. And then this is the city of Highland Park. So
you include that.
Commissioner Clark said that he may have divided Highland Park. Do you want to divide it or
Don't know.
put it
At the
one way or
moment,
the other?
yeah, at the moment I do. I can adjust
What-
things.
Commissioner Clark, I think may I suggest that we don't, just to select it as a township and then just
Okay.
keep going down Woodward?
Yeah, that's fine.
So again, would this be in this District 1 or would this be outside of it?
In it.
In, okay, so I'll
Yeah,
select by
I put
township.
it in. We'll take a look at what it's like, yeah.
Okay, and this
Uh,
also helps us with reference points. So now we can see where the boundary of Highland Park is and the roads.
Correct. So then we continue.
Can you take the
South.
area above Highland Park?
Yes,
Yeah.
And
back
fill
back
that.
to the border at 8 Mile, yeah.
Yeah, and go south with it.
Yeah, let's go south, then we can fill things in. And I went south till I hit Edsel Ford Freeway. I went south to that point.
Am I going?
Yeah, keep going.
And then just take the next, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and now you're up to Hamtramck. So in this district, did you have
Keep going south.
Hamtramck in it?
Yeah, oh, yes, please.
Okay,
And keep going south.
Take him. Yep, go down to take Hamtramck. And then what's to the west of Hamtramck?
Yeah, hold on. Let me look.
Okay, so I think this is the Lodge Freeway, is that right?
I went down to the.
Yes,
I went
that's the Lodge.
south of Hamtramck to the Edsel Ford Freeway. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just go back to Commissioner Villette.
Yes.
You want this area here that I'm pointing to?
Yes.
Okay, so this is south of Highland Park and then west of Hamtramck.
Correct.
Yeah, that's, I had that in, no further west. I didn't go all the way south of Hamtramck. I didn't do those. But we can if you want to include them.
Okay, so stop here or?
I'll go down to 94 or 94. Yeah, the highway, yeah. Okay, now everything east that's in the, oh no, wait, let me finish going south. So then what I did, John and Janice, was then I went, when I was south of I-94, I went west a little to.
Okay, so this area is around Wayne State, I think.
I believe so, yes. Yeah, it is.
Okay, so a little bit west.
More, yeah. And then I went one more precinct west.
Okay.
And south. Then I went south again.
Okay, so this is just on the west side of Lodge, I think.
Correct.
Okay, so staying just on the west side towards the river.
Correct, all the way to the river.
Okay,
And then
down
everything
down
to the
here,
east. Yeah, and then now everything to the east, only in the city of Detroit.
And
And
Doug,
then
may I suggest, Doug?
Yeah.
There is a community of interest that we may want to keep to the west. And what I'm suggesting here is that if you do stay to the eastern side of the Detroit and the Hart Plaza area,
yeah,
right, instead of wrapping around, we may be able to preserve that community of interest.
Well, I mean, this district, these districts are so large that I was going to fill in the rest of Detroit to the east and then come west. And the west would come all the way into Dearborn.
But the number one district that you're drawing right now, this is sort of the eastern district, is that correct?
East, no, it's going to go west as well.
Oh, okay, then keep going.
So, yeah, so fill in the rest of Detroit to the east, and then we'll come back to that point on the river, and we're going to head west.
Okay, so
when I drew these 13 districts, I mean they're huge.
Can you give us Commissioner Clark? Can you, and within your map that you've drawn, do you have the minority percentage that your district has that you're drawing the number for number one?
Let me see if I do. So I drew this map before we got that data.
This is not about elections. This is just the minority percentage.
Oops. Okay, so the tab I want is what?
It's the overview tab. If you just stay on the overview tab and look at the racial demographics as a percentage of total population,
yeah,
whatever that minority percentage is for the district you want to draw.
Okay, I'll read it all. This is, oh heck, let me see what district number I used. I didn't use one. Oops. I used 12, okay. Because I didn't start up in Detroit. So
John, maybe we should go east of Highland Park.
Okay,
Make it-
so yeah, what Commissioner Clark was saying was take in all of Detroit and not including the Grosse Points, I think is what he was saying.
If that's not Detroit. So 12 ends up with a minority population of 51.02.
Okay,
The way,
thanks.
the way I drew it.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's why I did, it. But we're gonna end up going back into Dearborn and Dearborn Heights and west of that as well, just because of population.
Commissioner Villette, take it away.
I'm sorry, but I'm kind of confused.
Well, I did,
Oh, okay. So, so Doug, you went east? You filled in that area that says Wayne where John is circling?
that whole eastern part of Detroit, yep, from 8 Mile.
Okay, so go ahead and John, take that.
8
Okay,
Mile
I'll
to
do that.
the river, yeah. That's what I did. Yeah, I thought 51.02% was reasonable.
And again, just to repeat, do not take the Grosse Points
Correct, do not.
into this plan. Okay.
I don't think I had that in there. I'll look again.
Oh, here.
No, I did not have that in there.
Park around this road.
See, some of these precincts are really slightly populated. It's the problem. And we got to get 775,000 people in one of these districts. See, with all this that we built, Janice, we're only had 250,000 people.
I know, we're gonna have to go north.
So once you've done that, which looks like you have, then what I did was down at the river. Now I went west. So I went down to the Delray area. Yeah, but I didn't go that far up. Yeah. So you gotta, I think, go a little east as well. Those two, yeah, I think those two. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, about how far north did you go? You
That's
mentioned
it.
Dearborn.
That's it. So now go back down to Delray. We're gonna head west. Down. Nope, not that one. I didn't do that
Okay.
one. And that whole spike that goes up, I didn't do either. Right next to the one you just deleted. Come west to where it says Delray, and then go. Oh wait, yeah. There's a township. Yeah, you just took it out. Okay, good. So now at Delray, what I did was I went down into River Rouge. Yeah, keep
So
going
did
down.
you take all of River Rouge?
Looks like I did, yes.
Okay.
I took all of Melvindale, Lincoln Park, and E-Course, and Southgate, and Allen Park.
Did you mention, one moment, I just assigned all of Detroit.
Southgate.
Did you mention Melvindale?
Correct, I did.
Okay.
And Southgate as well. I don't know. So E-course, Lincoln Park, Southgate. Allen Park as well.
Yeah, and then I'll move down to get Southgate.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then from Allen, okay, well, I'll wait till you get Southgate.
Okay, so I got Allen Park, Lincoln Park, Southgate, E-course, River Rouge, Melvindale. Okay.
I think that's all of them.
Okay, and did you,
hold on,
did you
then I
fill in
got-
this or no?
No, I don't believe I did. So I'll have to go. Then I got all of Dearborn Heights, Inkster, Garden City, Westland, Wayne. So we're still not to 775,000 people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we have a slightly different configuration in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
From what I have on the screen versus what you have on your map. So I'm getting Westland.
Correct.
And you said Wayne, is that right?
In Garden City, yeah.
Okay, so I'm taking Wayne as well.
Yes.
And Garden City.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Garden City.
Okay, and I think, let's see, 12.
Yeah, so now it's pretty close, 745 out of 775. So you probably want to look back at the boundary here.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time.
Commissioner Gallant say something.
Janice, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll let Janice go from here. But yeah, we can add a little bit more, and then see that big space in Detroit that we have not done. It's not assigned. Yeah, most of that, that's a whole second district that I put in. And that ran north into Southfield, Oak Park, and so forth.
Thanks, Commissioner Clark. Commissioner Villette, back to you, and then Commissioner Eid had something too.
That was the.
I'm just concerned that now we've got more white than black.
Well,
we have the Dearborn area too, and I think Commissioner Curry may be able to help us, and I see Rebecca, Commissioner Chair Zatella also has her hand. So Commissioner, thank you for your comment, Commissioner Villette, and it's still yours to draw, but I want to try to get our comments. Commissioner Eden, then Chair Zatella, please.
I'll let her handle it from here, and then if you need help, I'll participate.
Thank you, Commissioner Rothorn. You're doing great, by the way, facilitating this as always. I think this first off, this is a very hard thing to balance because we have to balance VRA considerations along with communities of interest. And I think that there is a way to have, Detroit be with Detroit while keeping the non-Hispanic Black population low enough that they are able to elect their own candidate without putting the Dearborn, Westland, Romulus area, Wayne area into it. And I don't, for these, I don't like, for the congressional districts, I don't like having the idea of Woodward being a divider. Because that just divides the city of Detroit. And there is a way to do it where we can have most of the city of Detroit and still have 2 VRA protected districts. So I'd just caution against using that Woodward road as a divider.
Chair Zatella, and then back to Commissioner Villette.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with pulling Detroit out, and I think we need to. I just don't understand why you would combine Dearborn Heights, kind of the west side suburbs, with the east side of Detroit. Why not just put in the west side of Detroit with Dearborn Heights, Garden City, because they're all border communities. Like, why kind of bring it down to the river and then back up again instead of just going with the west side? I'm just curious what the thought process was there.
Do you want to respond to that, Commissioner Clark? And then Commissioner Eid had a hand. And again, I want to give it back to Commissioner Villette.
when I looked at the population, I couldn't take all of Detroit and put it in to one district. And, with maybe a few outlying areas, because the VRA just wouldn't have accepted that at all. So I decided to spread it out into the suburbs. And the reason I went west, see, when I went south, I knew I picked up some of the Hispanic population. And then when I went west, I knew I picked up a lot of the white population to try to balance that district out. And with the other district, which would go north in the Southfield and I forget Lathrop Village, Oak Park. It was the same concept. I was trying to get some white votes to balance it out. So, I didn't sit there with a district with 95% black. So that's just the way I went. We can divide this up so many different ways. And I kept Grosse Pointe out of it because, again, I wanted to go up toward the north on that side. And I wanted to include them there, so, and keep them out of Detroit because the comments we had
Thanks,
regarding
Commissioner
that.
Clark. We do have, I see Chair Zatella, I know Commissioner E, but it is Commissioner Villette's turn and she has her hand up too. So I want to try to help her sort of get the floor back.
Okay, well, Anthony, Commissioner Ede, what is your suggestion? Because I honestly do not like the Garden City and Westland either.
Do you mind if I make a few
Yes, please do.
changes in your turn? Because it's your turn. If you
I
want to
know
draw,
it
I want
is,
you to
but
draw.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I would, let's look at the map going a little bit more south. In fact, let's start at the Monroe-Wayne border. Yeah, so I would zoom in south there. And I would start, taking more of these downriver communities. So I would say add all of those that you see. So Brownstown, Riverview, Trenton, Woodhaven, Flat Rock, Grosse Isle. Yeah, Grosse Eel. Thanks. Thinking Belle Isle.
Commissioner Zealot, Chair Zatella, I do see your hand. Is it still up
Oh,
on purpose?
yeah, I was just gonna say that I don't think you can exclude the points from a Detroit congressional district. They are connected to that area. And I think if you're gonna try to carve them out, you're gonna have a very ridiculous looking district. I think that, I think they probably belong with the Detroit district for this congressional districts because they are so large. And then, like I said, my suggestion would be kind of to cut that off at kind of Cobo Center and put the west side with western suburbs and the east side with the eastern suburbs, which is kind of, I think, what Anthony is trying to do a little more of.
Thanks, Chair Zatella. Back to Anthony.
So I think it does look a little weird, but I think you can make a district with Grosse Pointe Farms, St. Clair Shores, going up to like the Moore Warren and Sterling Heights area. But there's so many ways to do this. We're going to have all different configurations and we're all going to have to, bring them up and weigh them. I was able to finish, my own draft of a map yesterday that has 2 Detroit districts, one being 46% black, the other being 45% black. That's just non-Hispanic black. Then the minority population for both of those is 64% and 55% respectively. And I'll submit it so we can all look at it on Monday. But it was exactly what Commissioner Zatella was just saying, with the downriver communities being more so with Detroit. So my next change would be to remove. So if you zoom in on like Taylor, Dearborn. Yeah, right over there. So I would remove that chunk of Dearborn all the way to Westland. And Dearborn as well.
Dearborn as well. Okay.
So this isn't my area, but why are we leaving that like hole in there?
Well, I mean, if I have it filled,
Like by Melvindale and River Rouge, why are we leaving that area out?
you're talking about in between.
Where John is circling.
Can you zoom in on that, John? I can't see it.
I think it was the straw and the coconut analogy that we were using earlier, something like that.
Oh, I actually have that included in this, so I would say.
Yeah,
add it
you
in.
can't leave that out.
Thanks, Commissioner Curry. So I think John just needs to be directed to fill it in. Is
Yeah,
that right?
so John, can you add that part in, that Commissioner
Yeah,
Gallant
add
was
that
just
part
speaking of?
in. Thank you. So we still need 200,000 people.
Yeah, so can you zoom in on Taylor? It's a little bit to the west of Allen Park. Yeah, right there. So this would break Taylor up from the voting districts in order to have a closer population deviation. So, but let's worry about that later. Can you just move up.
I was just going to say, before worrying about the deviation, let's make sure you got most of what you want in, and then see where you were splitting for deviation reasons. Okay, so from this point, we'll go back out of the Taylor area and look back in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and now where that border that Commissioner Clark drew, let's zoom in on that.
So as a reference, here's the boundary of Highland Park and Hamtramck.
Right. Let's go. I'm just trying to think about the best way to communicate this. If you can go.
Who's that, Commissioner E?
What was that?
Yes,
Is that you
that's right,
talking?
Commissioner Curry. It is Commissioner Ede, yes.
Yeah, Highland and Highland Park right there by Hamilton and Hamtramck. Detroit don't have anything contiguous with them. Nothing.
I mean, I think, this
Nope,
is
I
such a
know.
this is such a large land area that I don't know a way to do it without including them in here. But what would you suggest, Commissioner Curry?
I'm just looking at it because I go right through here all the time. And there's just the same people that live in these little areas. I only go through it to hit the expressway, but I don't stop there that much or anything. I wouldn't stop at all, but not even to get gas. But it's just that we don't have that, we're not that contiguous now. Maybe back 20 years ago or something, but I see nobody, period, that, well, I shouldn't say I see nobody, but it's just a lot of people that I know that's Northwest and everything. They never come down near there. Northwest of Detroit. So do we have, what congressional would this be? The 13? Is this?
You mean what existing congressional district is it? Is that your question?
Is this 13 or 14? Is this existing?
This is the first district that we're drawing, and Janice is trying to draw it collaboratively, and Commissioner Ede is trying to, give him some suggestions, and I think you're giving some input on that right now. But this is the first district. We haven't.
Well,
there
this
is no
would be the
13.
first.
Correct. This is the very first district we're drawing. Congressional district, draft district. I see your hand, Commissioner.
Probably need to go more west than north.
Juanita, are you asking what congressional district it is now?
Now, but it's not been numbered, so I'm sorry. I should not have said that. But I think I would take it more west.
Thank you. And what I'm thinking about is that it is thinking through the process. I see your hand, Commissioner Clark, and I know Anthony's trying to help out Commissioner Villette. And I wonder if we could let Anthony finish potentially. And again, Janice, I want you to take the floor as much as you can. I'm trying to facilitate us getting something that feels like we sort of got something from Commissioner Clark. Now we're tweaking it with Commissioner Eid, and I think it is Janice's turn. So I want to make sure that you feel like you have the floor, Janice.
Okay, so we're gonna let Commissioner Eid do a little bit, and then we're gonna look at it. Okay, Commissioner Eid.
Okay, so add in the parts of Dearborn, the parts of Detroit around Dearborn, but don't go into Dearborn. So yeah, that neighborhood there.
And this internal area
Yes.
south of 94,
Yes.
or sorry.
It's going to be
not
that
94.
whole area east of Dearborn is going to be included in a Detroit district. I mean, this is now, we're mapping now in Detroit. So, okay, so now let's move up and fill in the rest of that area. Now I see those two little boxes right there.
Okay, so this is the northern border with Dearborn. So I'll
Right,
put
so to
this
the east
one
of it.
East, okay. Up to the interstate.
Yep, that whole area to the east of it. And I'll note that, right now this is adding to the Black population.
So continuing north.
Yep, continue north.
And again, this corner here is the boundary with Dearborn and Detroit. So
Right.
Do you want this or not?
So can you zoom in on that boundary? So there is a road.
It looks like Tremont. Does that sound right? No.
Tireman. Yeah, it's Tireman.
Sorry. Yeah.
There's I'm sorry, John, could you zoom out? Trying to make sure we're in the same area. Zoom out a little more. Okay. The border between Oakland County and Wayne County, where Royal Oak is. Can you zoom in on there? Yeah, right over there. So I would say include everything to the right of Meyer Road, which is, if you zoom in, it's kind of in the middle of Royal Oak Township. Yeah, right there. I think you were just hovering over the road as well. Yeah, right. You see that road? That one. Yep, everything to the right of it.
Okay, so that was a voting precinct that straddles Meyer Road.
Okay, so now if you go down and zoom out, these are kind of the boundaries of the district. So that whole area from Dearborn up, let's add it in.
So I'm following the extension of Meyer Road, even if it's not still called Meyer Road here.
Yes. Essentially to where it meets up with Dearborn. And then I would just fill in the rest of that box that you made. this is going to put us a little over. We went a little slightly more west on that road than what I'm looking at. But generally, this is what I'm thinking about, having a district like this that's composed mainly of downriver and Detroit.
What about the Grosse Points?
I actually would leave them out and have the Grosse Points with Warren, Sterling Heights, Mount Clemens, Harrison. So they have a little bit more of that lakeshore area. But I think kind of on a different note, this gives you the opportunity to have a second district with the rest of Detroit up to the Oakland County border. So you see where all the open red neighborhoods are that aren't painted right now. You could have those with Dearborn Heights, Romulus, and some of Taylor, and that would make a second district that I believe is also VRA compliant.
Thanks, Commissioner Eid. I want to give the floor back to Commissioner Villette, but I also see Commissioner Clark's hand. So Commissioner Villette, please proceed as you wish, or would you want to take Commissioner Clark's comment?
Well, it's still almost 50,000 people over, so I'd like to take I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I think that we need to add 50,000 people. And I think I would like to ask Commissioner Curry, this is her area where she thinks we should add more people.
Commissioner Curry, and then we've got Commissioner Clark, and then Chair Zatella.
I thank you for that thought, but I'd like to hear what Madam Chair would say to this.
Can we take Commissioner Clark first?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I understand what Anthony's doing. I went west, he went south instead, but he also went further west in the city of Detroit. And I'm afraid that we're diluting the Black population in Detroit by going so far west in the precincts in the Detroit area. I mean, we wouldn't know until we map the next district. But that's the comment I.
Thank you, Chair Zatella.
So.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Commissioner
that's
Clark.
all right. That's what I was going to say.
Thanks, Janice. Go ahead, Chair Zatella. You're on mute.
Thank you. I am not a fan of this at all. I don't think that the downriver communities really have any ties to Detroit whatsoever. I think if you think about what I mentioned the other day about the tier 1 suburbs, which are Dearborn Heights, Redford, Southfield, Huntington Woods, Sterling Heights, Warren, East Point, Grosse Points, those are all sort of the 1950s first round suburbs. I think those are most closely affiliated with Detroit. And I think if we're going to branch out to try to balance out the Detroit district, we should be going that way rather than trying to go all the way down to downriver, because I assure you, I think Ecorse, Allen Park, Melvindale are more closely affiliated with Detroit. And I would include Taylor in that because it's very similar to Dearborn Heights. But I think once you start going down to Southgate and Brownstown and Gibraltar, the people from those areas just really don't have any ties to Detroit whatsoever. And I think they're going to have serious concerns about being, drawn up into an area that just doesn't represent their interests or their needs or their desires. Whereas those first tier suburbs, I think, have a lot of ties to Detroit. A lot of people who work in those communities work in Detroit. They go shopping in those areas. There's a lot of back and forth. They send their kids downtown for the universities. They send their kids downtown for doctors. I just think this is a very odd configuration to rope in downriver. And I suspect we will hear that in public comments if we were to put this as a draft map, that you're going to get a lot of pushback from downriver about why they're being roped in with Detroit. So
I agree.
Okay, so you're suggesting we start with that section that goes south and remove that.
I think it's fine to take it down to Allen Park, Ecorse, and Lincoln Park, but I think once you start going more southerly than that into true downriver, it just doesn't make any sense to me that you would include that. I think it makes more sense to come out to Dearborn, Inkster, Dearborn Heights, or go up into, Madison Heights and Warren. The Grosse Points are right there. as
Yeah.
well. It's not like they have different shoreline issues from people in Detroit who are on the shoreline. So I think traditionally they have been included in the Detroit districts for congressional. So yeah, I just don't think this makes a ton of sense to me.
That's true.
Honestly, having grown up in this area, I don't think this makes a lot of sense.
I like the
Janice,
way you
there's-
said that. I agree.
Thank you, Commissioner
Thank you.
Gray.
Yeah, thank you. Janice, there are two comments, maybe three. I see Commissioner Lett, I saw Commissioner Orton, and I saw Commissioner Eid. How do you want to proceed, Janice?
Commissioner Lett has a comment. Yes? Do you? I don't know. I don't see your hand up. Go ahead.
We drew state Senate districts yesterday. And we drew them, and quite frankly, MC, when you started, I had no clue as to what you were doing, but it worked out pretty well. And you did spokes coming out from the center, Detroit, going out. Congressional districts basically are just a lot bigger Senate districts. Why are we not kind of following that process instead of making a rather unusual looking district? I mean, they're all going to be unusual, but that seemed to work pretty well to go out. And, you know, with all due respect to the points, if we need to balance the populations and the demographics, the points may have to come in.
Where do you want to go next, Janice? We got Commissioner Orton and Commissioner Eid.
Well, I'm just thinking if we have some commissioners that think this is a good idea and some commissioners that think the other way is a good idea, maybe this is where we have two different options. I don't know.
Well, actually, I personally also don't like the way this goes south. I actually think that we should go like we did the Senate. We would go up further north and take in those areas. So I would like to remove where from. I can't read that.
You're talking about the area in the south here.
Yeah, you see the red lines down below those red lines at at the south.
So
He's
you're
talking
saying
about Trenton.
remove?
I
Trenton.
can't read that.
They're
clearly.
Trenton, Grossville,
Yeah, I'll put the.
Gibraltar,
Sorry.
Flat Rock, Woodhaven, all of those.
I would leave in Ecorse Lincoln Park
Yeah,
because that has a high Hispanic community that wanted to be included with Detroit.
yeah.
Okay, so below those. Southgate, Wyandotte.
Okay,
Riverview.
so clarify, I'm taking Brownstown, Woodhaven.
Woodhaven, Flat
Roseville,
Rock.
Trenton, Riverview, Gibraltar, Flat Rock, and Rockwood
Yeah,
out.
yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
He's doing-
Southgate and Wyandotte, I would take too.
Mhm.
Commissioner Villette, Southgate and Wyandotte as well.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Thanks, Commissioner Lett. Commissioner Eid wanted to just say something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with what most of you are saying. It's just a starting point. I drew it that way. You know, I started with, like Commissioner Zatella was saying, with Allen Park, Lincoln Park, Ecorse, Melvindale, you know, even Wyandotte, Southgate, and a little bit of Taylor. I think those do go with Detroit, like you said. But, you know, going more south, that was mainly just to get the Black population down to an acceptable level to be compliant with the VRA. But, you know, we could go a different way. That's totally fine too.
And it's a community of interest, right?
Well, that's the hard thing with these congressional districts. The concentration of population is so large that we have to balance so many things. So I think we're gonna have a lot of ideas here.
Yeah, good to get it on record. Thanks for the discussion, y'all. Janice, back to you. You have the floor.
Okay, so Rebecca, should we take in North End, like Royal Oak and Warren
And Southfield.
and Southfield?
I mean, you can go that way. I would probably save those for the western side. I would focus on grabbing the points and then going north from there.
Okay.
Like especially Warren, because Warren, we have the request from the Bengali community to be tied in with Hamtramck. And so if we're grabbing Warren, then you're putting those two communities together that ask to be together. So I would definitely do Warren, and I would definitely include the points.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. We'll take Warren and the points. So we're taking center line?
So I took the gross points in.
Yes,
And then you want center line and Warren.
but now we're over in population.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just complete the task and then you can look and see where you stand. So yes, it's over. This is almost 1 million people with all of those towns, the southern towns we discussed, this section of Detroit, the gross points, Warren and center.
Take Warren out.
You ended up taking the other half of Detroit. That's why.
Thank you.
Remember, originally part of Detroit wasn't included, and we now have
No,
all of Detroit
I
included.
understand. It was, what happened was I had a portion of Detroit was selected when I selected the gross points.
Commissioner Clark, I see your hand.
Yeah, I still contend that we should not have the points in here. I would look at going north to Warren and East Detroit, or East Point. I think they're more, and maybe even Hazel Park, they're more associated with the city of Detroit than Grosse Pointe. I know Grosse Pointe's right next to Detroit, but
It's right next to it, but there's no, it's not that much contiguousnism with it.
no, as far as, no, it's like two different areas personally.
Right.
From what I've seen.
Absolutely, it is two different areas.
Personally, I would use Grosse Pointe and go north like we did yesterday and then spread out. But
Yeah, I think Grosse Pointe need to be with St. Clair Shores, East Point, and those places.
yeah, I'll defer to you, Juanita, on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark and Commissioner Curry. Janice, John had his hand up, and then back to you.
Yeah, I'm just getting back to the correct division of Detroit. Okay, so now this does not have the western part of Detroit.
Okay,
Now I'm
so
going to add Warren and center line and then stop.
yes, thank you.
Okay, and there you go. You're within 0.5% with this configuration. So the southern towns, portion of Detroit, Warren and center line, and the gross points.
So does anybody have any comments?
What's the
so
population?
Yeah,
for
let's
that?
look at the population. Great idea. You want to read it out, John?
Sure. The population of this configuration is 773,000. Your target is 775,179. And as we discussed earlier, you were not looking to get it to 0 deviation at this moment.
And in terms of minority percentages, we've got about 67% minority. And the racial that we have about 49% Black, non-Hispanic Black. And we are at in terms of voting population, we have about 48% non-Hispanic Black. So it's within reason. So it's not a, yeah. We'd like to get it lower if we can. And yeah, I'm wondering, Janice, how you're feeling about it.
I think I'll stop here.
Okay. Thank you. Do you want to, Department of State, we need some questions.
Hello, Commissioner Villette. Could you please describe what communities of interest were taken into account, and any other commissioner who contributed to this map, please feel free to provide input as well. Thank you.
Janice, I can offer that I'm pretty sure that we've taken into consideration, there's I want to say a community of interest. I believe that
It's the
identified themselves as
the businesses that are there and in those places. I think the people in Detroit will shop in Melvindale, Allen Park. They will shop everywhere in all those places. I have. So
thank you, Commissioner Curry. So we've got the
contiguous
business
with the
interest.
businesses, yes.
And I see Chair Zatella and Commissioner Clark. Do you want to help Janice provide rationale? Is that why your hands are up? Do you want to provide
so
rationale?
you've got the Latino community coming up from Lincoln Park into the western edge of Detroit. And then you've also got the Bangladeshi community coming up from Hamtramck into Warren. And then you've also got the voting rights analysis of not packing in the African-American population. And then I would just throw in, we need to highlight Belle Isle because it's sitting out there all by itself. I don't think there's anyone out there, but we want to include that too.
Yeah.
did you have your hand up because you wanted to help provide rationale for Janice?
No, I want to make a comment. I still don't think the gross.
Can you hold it? Sorry, Doug, I want to help the Secretary of State get their comments
Okay.
put together and help Janice get their comments. Then we'll come back to you, okay?
Okay.
Any other? Okay, we've got a thumbs up. So Doug, take it away. It's all yours.
I still don't think Grosse Pointe needs to be there. I think East Detroit and maybe even Roseville is more appropriate. I don't know how that fits out population wise.
Well, Doug, didn't one of the people that represented Grosse Pointe come out? I think they were in the open hearing where they said they wanted to be involved in Detroit. They wanted peace. They wanted to be in Detroit.
I don't know, but
Yeah, I did.
There was conflicting interest. I think what Doug is
They're part of
suggesting.
Wayne County too.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at some of the comments today about East Point, and people congratulated us for associating them with Detroit on the Senate maps. And they gave some reasons why. I can't remember exactly what they are now. That's why I thought that would be more appropriate, but I don't know how that would fit population wise.
Thanks, Commissioner Clark. The Secretary of State has a hand.
Just wanted to note for the public record that Commissioner Kellum has joined. Commissioner Kellum, can you tell us where you are attending remotely from?
Attending remotely from Wayne County, Michigan. And hi, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll go on what Juanita and Janice say.
I think
Thank
the
you.
lady that was speaking was from the lower part because she said she wanted us to bring her on in down into Detroit. But you know, I'm just a voice. That's all. So
Thank you, Commissioner Curry. So I think we have concluded with Commissioner Villette's turn. Excellent. Thanks for taking on the hard work of doing this. This is and doing it collaboratively. Very good. So we do have a 3:20, 3:30. We want to we pick up another agenda item. So we have about a half an hour before of mapping. I believe the next person is Weiss because we don't have Commissioner Wagner. Is that correct, Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Being I understand Detroit's a difficult area to do, and I do not know the area, so I'd like to go home now. But I guess I won't do that. So I would like all the commissioners from the Detroit area, Curry, Satella, Clark, Anthony, and even Mr. MC, because you do a good job of keeping an eye on us on our racial balance. I'd like some help. My thinking is I should go west. Is that a good idea?
I see a hand from Chair Zatella.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just start with the west and grab Dearborn Heights, Redford, Detroit, and go up from there and see what population you have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, John, could you do that, please?
Okay, so starting with Dearborn for District 2. And that's the whole county of Wayne. Sorry. Making sure everyone's paying attention. So Redford and Dearborn Heights, and then I did this so I could just highlight the area of Detroit. So we're going to take this area of Detroit at this point, yes?
I believe so.
You know,
okay.
Can we just put a question mark there?
Say that again, Commissioner Curry. What do you mean by a question mark?
I mean, come back to it if we need it. Redford.
Of course, we can. Yeah, everything we're doing is drafted, so we will be able to come back to it.
I mean, you know, it just keep going west. I mean, north.
Commissioner.
Richard.
Did you hear the encouraging words, Richard?
Brittany
Yes,
is here now, so she can give
doing
some.
exactly what I would hope you would do.
Yeah, Brittany
Giving
is
me
here
some
now,
help.
so she knows it pretty well too. Her and our Madam Chair and myself, but I'd like to hear all the input.
I only
Okay, so
really, I only really speak if I have an objection and I don't see anything wrong. And I also don't want to speak out of turn, Commissioner Curry. So I'm just watching. It looks fine to me.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Commissioner Kellum, I ignored you. I forgot you were here. I'd like your input also.
Commissioner Weiss, I know your heart. It's okay. You didn't do it intentionally.
Okay, so I'm just pausing at this point. So we've got Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, Redford, and the balance of Detroit. So now, which way do you want to go?
Should we go a little bit west or should we go a little more south?
Let's go a little bit west. What
What do you think of, yeah, Inkster?
That's what I was, yep.
Yeah,
All right.
Inkster.
I would go west.
All right. You have
You
Garden
could-
City.
Garden.
Yeah.
Garden City, Westland,
Westland, Wayne,
Wayne.
I would grab Livonia too.
Livonia, yep.
Yep.
All right, do that, John.
If y'all are helping Commissioner Weiss, will you help also name or if you have COIs, like I'm wondering if this is also sort of an Arab community district that you're thinking of?
No.
If you can help with that, no?
It's pretty diverse.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and then to the south, you have Romulus and Taylor on the border, and then to the west, you've got Northville and Canton.
And I'm looking at the totals. Romulus and Taylor might put us fairly close.
Should we
Mr.
pull
Weiss.
into Southfield? I'm looking at the racial demographics if I'm noticing them correctly.
And we're doing the congressional, Brittany.
I understand.
Okay, so Southfield.
Okay, I'm just letting you know, just because you just came in.
Okay, so Southfield on the north, and then we mentioned Canton, Northville, Plymouth on the west, and then Romulus and Taylor to the south.
Let's try Romulus and Taylor first, just for the heck of it, see what it looks like.
Thanks, Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner E wants to jump in here too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I would suggest Romulus and Taylor instead of Livonia, because then Livonia can go with like Canton, Plymouth, Northville, up to like Ypsilanti and part of Ann Arbor.
True, and that's true too.
Yeah, not too bad.
That's a pretty good district.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers, so we've got, John, do you want to help us read the numbers, including the minority percentages, please?
So the population is 773, almost 774,000 out of 775 ideal. That's within 0.15. It's 1,184 under. On the total population, the non-Hispanic Black is 37.2. It's about a little less than 2% non-Hispanic Asian on total population, 4% Hispanic. And then the total minority, which is the inverse of the non-Hispanic white, is 48%.
And
And
then
then the voting age numbers are here.
Commissioner
And then
Orton
keep
and
in
then
mind
Commissioner.
the
Go ahead,
white
Chair
is going to
Zitella.
include, the white is going to include Arab Americans from Dearborn Heights area too. So,
Thanks for
so the
that
minority
reminder.
is probably a little higher than we reflected.
Commissioner Orton, did you have something?
I'm just wondering, so these are both really close. I'm wondering if we want one to be a little high, as we go along. If one's low, then one beside it needs to be a little high, or what our mapping experts would suggest.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ede?
Well, I like how it looks, but I'm a little concerned with how low that 35% number is for non-Hispanic Black. And I think that's probably because Livonia is in here. I would like to see that number, around at least, 40 to 45%, so that it is compliant. I know the minority amount is, but I think that non-Hispanic Black population of voting age population is a little low with what we have drawn currently.
If you're open to it, John or Commissioner E, what I'm thinking about is we can look at the election results to see how much crossover we have. So in election 2, so John, could you highlight or open up that tab and just for District 2, see what sort of the focus minority or, yep.
Okay, so for District 2 as drawn at this point, it's 70% for Biden in 20 and 30% for Trump in 20, 69 for Clinton, 31 for Trump in 16, 2012, 74% for Obama, 24 for Romney, Peters 71, James 29 in 2020, Stabenow 70, James 30 in 2018, U.S. Senate race in 2014, Peters 75, Land 25. U.S. Senate race in 12 is 79 for Stabenow and 21 for Hoekstra. And then for governor, Whitmer is 71.5 and Schuette is 28.5. For governor in 14, 65 Shower, 35 Snyder. For attorney general, 70 for Nessel, 30 for Leonard. In 2014, it was 66 for Totten, 34 for Schuette. And then for secretary of state, it's 72 Benson, 28 Lang, and then 64 for Dillard and 34 for Johnson in 2014 for secretary of state.
So of course, we'll get our VRA consultant to confirm it, but we've got a pretty lopsided, right? So I think we can say that, yeah, concerns. There's a crossover vote, probably for the elected minority. Thanks, John. All right,
Madam
we
Chair.
have Chair Zatella. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I remember correctly, and I think Bruce Adelson will weigh in on this and tell us if we're going the right way, but from what I remember from Lisa Hanley or Dr. Lisa Hanley's report, she had identified that in Wayne County in particular, there's significant crossover voting that goes on to the point that there was almost balance in Wayne County in terms of minority districts. So you could tolerate a lower percentage, and I thought it was like down to 35%. So that's just a thought to consider. And again, our experts for VRA and for voting analysis will inform us on that better. But then the other concept to keep in mind too is that right now 1 and 2 they have significant borders between the two of them, and 1 is a little high and 2 is maybe a little low, and we could potentially adjust some of those borders along the way to maybe balance that out if we need to in the future. So just something to think about, because we could get them both to 43% pretty easily, I would think.
Okay, so talking about the outer borders, we mentioned population. Both of these are down in population slightly, 1,700 and 1,200. So to Commissioner Zatella's point of how you could exchange population between these two districts to affect the minority percentage, yes, you could. But to Commissioner Orton's question about the population, if you were to take roughly 3,000 people into one of the other of these districts, then you would have those two districts balanced. However, at the moment, you have the geographic boundary is following the township lines as well. So you would have to pick another township to either split or put entirely in, like a smaller township or village if you wanted to bring the population closer to 0 for future, trimming the population to be exactly 0.
Thanks, John. I think we've, Commissioner Weiss, have we answered the questions, Secretary of State?
Yes, I think I can answer it, I hope.
And Richard, I'm not seeing a thumbs up yet from Sarah. Do we need to answer questions, Sarah? Sorry.
Yes, I do just have a few questions. Thank you.
Go ahead, Richard.
Can you describe, and as before, commissioners who contributed to the formation of this district, please feel free to provide input. Can you describe why this district took on the shape that it did and includes these areas, and what COIs were considered?
Well, as I said, I'm not very familiar with the area, and I fortunately have some commissioners that live down in this area. And obviously we used their information and drew a district that looks pretty good. It's pretty squared up. It seems to have a racial balance pretty good with crossover vote and everything. And I kind of like the way it looks.
And plus here.
Any other comments from other commissioners who contributed?
I I would say that they're pretty contiguous because I'm all up in everywhere up in there whenever I can.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Curry. Fantastic. All right, so I believe we have about 15 minutes still, and Commissioner Witches, I believe you're up.
I'd like to just quickly say thank you, commissioners, for your help.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay, I'll try my best. I think I'm just going to move north here. So
We can't hear you very well.
I'm trying to adjust this thing. Bear with me. Okay, so let's take the balance of Oakland County.
All of Oakland
Mhm.
as a starting point. Okay. Okay, that's one district and 64% of another district.
All right, take the top 10 townships out.
Okay. Now there's 1.1 million.
The leftmost 3 townships, let's remove those.
Okay, just down to 1 million.
Let's take White Lake and Waterford out.
922,000, 19% over. 147 over.
Commissioner Ede?
Yeah, I'd put some of Waterford back in, because of its association with Pontiac. I don't know if the whole thing can fit in, but I like what you're doing.
He's still over. So if he puts Waterford, yeah, yep. That was a never mind. He didn't speak into the mic, but I'm just saying. Go ahead, Commissioner Witches, it's all yours.
Commissioner Dustin, don't you think that Kego, what is that? Kego
Harbor?
Kego Harbor and Sylvan Lake go better with Waterford? Can you kind of go up under there and catch them?
That's a good question. I've never been there before. So
I've been through there too.
We did get public comment that Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake Village, and West Bloomfield, and even the Bloomfield Hills area were sort of, I think they suggested they were a community of interest.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Reed has a comment too.
Yeah, they definitely, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake should definitely 100% be with Orchard Lake and West Bloomfield, but this whole area, goes together. I think Waterford goes with it, Pontiac goes with it, and what we have down south
Yeah,
goes with it
Pontiac
too.
does, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I'd maybe say doesn't as much go with this is like
Auburn Hills.
maybe like the west side of Commerce Township, or maybe some of Novi, or maybe some of Rochester Hills.
Yeah.
I have an idea here, Dustin, if you want. There's a LGBTQ community that we were considering in the Senate maps that could go to, it would be most appropriate to designate it with the first district that we've drawn. And so taking Hazel Park or portions, right? If you take away from the southern area and add it to one, it's going to be over. But that may be a place to, chip away. The Hazel Park and moving west into Oak Park, Southfield would consider that LGBTQ community of interest that is part of District 1 at the moment.
What about, okay, I'll keep that in mind for now. What about adding Waterford back in and removing Rochester Hills and Troy and aligning that moreover with Sterling Heights?
We have a,
Troy goes with, Troy and Rochester go together. Come on, Brittany.
They still would, it's just be in a different district.
I see your hand, Commissioner Kellum. Oh, and then Commissioner Zatella, were you also there? I just do Commissioner Kellum first, then Commissioner Zatella.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just echoing Commissioner Rawhorn's sentiment about the Hazel Park area. I think that's what I was thinking about when we were in District 2, only because I'm looking at the minority population for District 3. And that might not be the worst suggestion because it could balance you out, Commissioner Witches, in terms of folks, depending on what you're thinking about. I don't know how else to say it, but if we keep pushing up, you're not going to get many more minorities to help you out. So you might want to dig into the Metro Detroit area while you have time, whatever that means for you.
Commissioner Zatella, and then back to Commissioner Witches.
Yeah, I was sort of agreeing with what you had just suggested, Dustin, about taking off Rochester Hills and Troy, adding on Waterford. I think you might still be over at that point, but I would suggest taking off Novi, because then you can combine Novi with South Lyon and Brighton, which I feel like they affiliate a little bit more that way. So just a suggestion. And then I don't know about pulling Hazel Park, because I think Hazel Park is going to throw you way off, and Hazel Park wanted to be with Ferndale. And right now they're together. And I think if you pull them off, then we're going to have to really change around one to account for that 35,000 people that would be in that district.
Mm-hmm. True.
Commissioner Villette.
Commerce has two school districts, Walled Lake Schools and Huron Valley Schools. Huron Valley Schools is Highland and Milford. So if I were you, I'd take part of Commerce or all of Commerce.
That's what I was leaning towards too, taking Commerce out, adding back in Waterford and taking out Rochester Hills and Troy for now, just so I can take a look at what that would do, because it would still keep Rochester Hills, Rochester and Troy together, just somewhere else at this particular point.
Absolutely.
The floor is yours, Commissioner Witches.
So let's do that. Let's move Commerce Township.
And Rochester and Troy.
Rochester Hills, Rochester.
And Troy.
Yep, and Troy.
Mhm.
And add Waterford in. Now, as far as Novi, Wixom, Walled Lake, and Farmington Hills go, I've worked in Novi and Farmington Hills. Farmington Hills and Novi, in my opinion, should go together. I really do. Same with Wixom and Walled Lake. Parts of Commerce, maybe, but I do agree that Commerce Township, Milford, White Lake, and Highland would be a better pick for Commerce Township, in my humble opinion. So.
It may be true.
And your numbers are looking pretty good, Commissioner Witches.
Commissioner Witches, you have a piece of Northville. I don't know if you see that.
Yeah, I just saw that too. I do want to add City of Northville in there.
So you're saying Northville, you want the portion to be added to this district, or do you want this portion taken out?
I want it added in. Northville and Novi need to be together.
Yeah.
Now, Northville Township is going to be a little bit of a problem. So,
Commissioner Orton, did you have something?
I was just going to say about Northville.
And here we get into a situation where we could potentially work on Northville Township, and we could remove the Hazel Park area at that point to offset it potentially. But that's an area that I don't know. So,
well, Hazel Park, They always appear to kind of always be by themselves some kind of way. I don't know. When I look at Hazel Park and even going through it, I look at it as a place that's to itself, but I don't know. Someone would have
Looking at
to speak on that.
Commissioners, looking at our time, I want to see if we can help Commissioner Witches wrap this up. And I want to give the floor back to Commissioner Witches, and I want to try to do the explanations, and then we need to move on to our next agenda item.
I mean, it's fine. We can come back to me at the beginning of the next meeting at that particular point, so I can have a chance to think about this a little bit, if that's fine with you.
Great idea. And then John?
Yeah, I was just going to point out that that district as drawn is 1,300 over. So between the three districts, you're still pretty close on overall population deviation.
Commissioner Lett has a comment.
Can we look at the voting on this district?
Commissioner Lett wanted to look at the voting on this district. John, can you help us out there?
Okay, so this District 3 as drawn, which is principally Oakland, including Pontiac and areas to the south. 65% for Biden in 2020, 35 for Trump, 63 for Clinton, 37 for Trump in 16, 62 for Obama in 2012, 38 for Romney. Peters in 20 was about 64 and 36 for James in 2020. US Senate in 18, 65 for Stabenow, 35 for James. In 2014 is 65 and a half for Peters and 35 and a half for Land. And then Stabenow in 2012 was 66 and a half. Hoekstra was 35 and a half. And then for Governor, Whitmer is 67, Schuette is 33. 2014 is 51 for Schauer, 49 for Snyder. Nessel is 64. Leonard is 35 for Attorney General. And Attorney General 14 is Totten 54, Schuette 46, sorry. Secretary of State 67 for Benson, 33 for Lang in 2018. And then in 2014 is 49 for Dillard and 51 for Johnson.
Yeah, we got some more balanced races at the end of it. But it looks like we've got some crossover voting, large percentages in the statewide districts, statewide governor districts anyways. Thanks for that. So we'll put a pin in it for now, Dustin, or what do you want to do?
I want to come back to this because I want to take a look at this district as drawn a little bit over a break to see if I can get the percentages a little bit better. However, I do like the way that they're showing currently with minority and yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to a VRA district at that particular point. So
yeah,
I just don't know about the Northfield Township because there is many public comments stating that Northville and Northfield Township should be together. And I do agree that that should be the case. I just don't know where we could carve off some extra population.
Commissioner Orton.
Well, it's more population than I was thinking, but since District 3 touches both 1 and 2, we could give the population that they need from District 3, but if you add Northfield Township, it would still be significantly high.
So if you're okay with putting a pin in this for now, and we'll pick it up back with Commissioner Witches, I'll turn the floor. This will conclude sort of our mapping session for the day, and I'll turn it back over to our chair, Zatella, for the next agenda item.
Oh, okay. Let me get my script back here. I'm like working on mapping. All right. So without objection, we're going to move on to new business item 6A, which is consideration for scheduling additional time for mapping. I know this has come up a couple of times and we've had different suggestions. So the question is there a feeling that there's a need to add more time? If so, what time do we want to add? What days do we want to add? And we're just opening the floor for suggestions from commissioners.
Do we have any recommendations from staff? Are there any, like sometimes we've had to think about the places that we could gather to. Do we have any recommendations from staff or Secretary of State, those who have helped us do these things? I'm not seeing any heads nodding here, so, oh, maybe. Definite maybe. So we're gonna hold on. Chair Zatella. And Commissioner Lett has a hand.
I'd like to hear
Commissioner Lett?
from the Secretary of State on what extra time would look like, when, where, et cetera.
I think they're convening to sort of see if they can help us with that.
And Commissioner Rothman, feel free to facilitate this discussion because you're in the room.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Say it one more time, please.
Feel free to facilitate the discussion because you are in the room.
Okay, thank you. And I see a hand. Executive Director Hammersmith has a hand.
We did ask Yvonne Young from the MDOS to check on facilities to see about availability. So one of the suggestions from a commissioner was to extend our meetings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the MSU Union when we're there. There is an option to meet earlier or extend our meetings till later on those days. Edward has also checked on our college tour visits upcoming next week and the following week. And they also have some options for extended time. So it's up to the commission to decide what it feels it needs, and then we can help build out the schedule from there.
Excellent.
That's Sarah.
And one of the things I'm hearing from Commissioner Lett was that that we wanted sort of like to get that in. Was it written, or were you just thinking about just verbal from the Secretary of State, Commissioner Lett? Verbal's okay. Okay, great. Secretary of State.
Thank you. Appreciate the patience there while I was working to confirm with our staff what options are available. So anticipating that the commission may indeed want to schedule more time, we have endeavored to explore venues and their availability. Our meetings for next week, aside from the college campus tour on next Thursday, are scheduled to be in the MSU Union Hall. We have confirmed that that space is available starting at 7 a.m. and can go as late as 7 p.m. Furthermore, we have confirmed that that space is available for next Saturday, and are also working to confirm that it is available for Friday. But one consideration that the commission may want to keep in mind, that having that space for Friday would involve returning to that space from where the college campus tour is next week. So if the commission would like to instead explore other options in that area, that's for you to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lett.
Keep in mind that if we're going to go back to MSU on a Saturday, make sure it's not a football Saturday.
You're speaking truth.
Amen.
And for the record, the reason we are still trying to confirm if it's available for that Friday is because I believe it is the MSU homecoming game that day.
Thank you. Outreach Director, Communications Outreach Director, do you have any insights into the availability of like a Friday, for example, like we wouldn't start tomorrow, but that would be a Friday next week. So a week from tomorrow, do you have any idea if we can meet Commission Edward? Is if we can meet next Friday or the following Friday at our venues?
I can check with regards to that. I do know that there is a football game for those that want to know on the 25th, and it's saying it's a night game that starts at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so we've got some. So if we're going to decide on when we meet, we've got to be able to meet with Open Meetings Act, and we have to have that venue secured. I'm wondering, commissioners, if we feel like we can actually make a decision without that information. What are you thinking, Commissioner Lett, and then Commissioner Vallette? Oh, Commissioner Vallette, please.
I was thinking, and I know that Edward's done a wonderful job setting all of these up, but I was wondering if we canceled the next two university ones, we could meet Monday through Friday in Lansing, and we could meet, I don't care what time, and, till afternoon. And that would give us quite a few more hours.
Thanks, Commissioner Villette. Mr. Woods, you still have your microphone on. Do you want to respond? Okay. Commissioner Orton.
Well, I don't know exactly when we'll get the hours, but I think we can all agree we're going to need as many hours as we can possibly fit in. So extending the day or whatever we can do.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I did think that public comment that we got with, there was an analysis of how many days we might use. That felt like it was useful. So a 3-day minimum feels important. Commissioner Witches.
I do think that we need to have more time, but I am against canceling. I am against canceling any meetings on university campuses for the sole fact that I prefer to have students come out, or at least have them have the ability to come out. I'm pretty sure Commissioner Eid is on the same page with me on that one.
Thanks, Commissioner Witches. Commissioner Lett, and then Commissioner Eid.
I would like General Counsel to give us some guidance on if we are, for some reason, have a burst of energy and get done. Is there a problem canceling scheduled meetings?
Through the chair to Commissioner Lett, no, certainly the commission is in control of its schedule. The commission can schedule additional meetings that are properly noticed so the public is aware of the date, time, and location. The commission can cancel meetings, and those would also be notices also posted when the commission cancels meetings. So it is at the commission's discretion.
Thanks, General Counsel. Commissioner Eid, and then Chair Zatella, and then I see Commissioner Clark. So Commissioner Eid, please.
Well, the public thinks we need more meetings. I think they made that pretty clear. As far as the university tour good thing goes, I mean, I like being here on campuses, but I do think we need to do like a cost benefit analysis because we are spending a lot of time on the road. And, if we're being honest, not many students have come to engage with us, at least not as many as I, would like to see. So, it's just a discussion. How do we best use our time to, maximize our time mapping versus engagement with the community?
Thanks, Commissioner Eid. Chair Zatella, and then Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I mean, I think Edward had mentioned this, but we can also make those meetings on Thursdays a little earlier, so they don't start till 1. And I thought he had mentioned that we could start at 11 or 12 and sneak in an extra hour there if everybody was interested in that. I think that's sort of an easy solution because we already have the venues selected. I don't want to. I'm not sure what the burden on travel is for people who aren't close by to those, but that's something to consider because it's quick and easy. And I also think the Fridays are quick and easy too. It's a little logistical challenge because we do have these 2 university visits coming up. And so we would be in Lansing the first week. And then I think we're going to, Rochester Hills next week. I'm not 100% on that. And then going back to Lansing. And then the following week, we would be in Detroit and then going somewhere else and then coming back to Detroit. So it's a little logistically challenging for travel, but I feel like we have Fridays wide open and we should take advantage of that. In terms of like going all the way to 7 a.m, that would be impossible for me, as would extending later into the evening is difficult for me. And that's fine if that's what the commission chooses to do. I would just arrive late and leave early for those meetings. And the same would be for Saturdays. But if, 12 people on the commission decides that works better, certainly do it. Just, I would have to leave early on those days and I would not make it there by 7 o'clock. That would never happen. So.
I would need
Commissioner Clark, and then Commissioner Weiss.
I would say that that we extend the meetings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And Thursday's already extended really, but maybe start that a little earlier to get some of the time. And then schedule 2 Fridays. Basically, we've only got 2 Fridays left after this week in September. And and then schedule that for, well, we'll have to compensate for some travel time from the universities, but maybe start that at 11 and go to 8 at night on Fridays. I'd be okay with all that.
Thanks, Commissioner Clark. I have Commissioner Weiss, I see Commissioner Witches, but I also see the Secretary of State, and I'm wondering if she has information or if we can wait for the commissioners. Which one should it be? Yep.
So I just wanted to clarify the hours that I mentioned for the availability at the MSU Union. So the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. time is the total time that the venue is available, but that also would include time for AV contractor setup and breakdown. So realistically, if the commission were to expand time, the time that would include for commission meeting would realistically be around 9 a.m. start time and a 6 p.m. end time, which is beyond what is currently scheduled. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiss.
Yes, since we already have 2 meetings or 2 more weeks scheduled, is it a possibility to extend maybe Friday at Central Michigan and maybe even Saturday? This is just a thought. I'd like input from the rest of the commissioners. And that would give us 2 more days. And then the next week, do the same thing at Oakland University if they would allow us to have Friday and Saturday. And that would give us 4 more days. And we don't have to change too much, whether we can, and that gives Edward time for reservations and stuff. And then I guess whatever the state says we can or can't do on that.
Thanks, Commissioner Weiss. I like that idea. I do know that we can have, and I see Commissioner Villette.
Well, instead of canceling the university, if we could do like Sarah said, we could go from 9 to 6. It's only, a little bit earlier in the morning and at night, and most of us would be spending the night anyway. So it wouldn't be like we would be, having to drive home, except for the people who live close by. And then if Edward says we could meet here earlier, I guess we'd need to know how early. And, we're doing 3 hours and 4 hours. We could do 4 hours and 4 hours. And then I don't know what to do, but we could meet Friday afternoon. We could spend the night, get up, drive, and go to a meeting after on Friday. And then we would still be able to do the university meetings.
Commissioner Weiss.
Yeah, in addition to what I suggested, I like Janice's idea. That would be adding a couple more hours either way to those 2 days. So now you've picked up even more hours and we don't have a lot of travel time. We could use the time better to draw some maps.
And I do think that our next 2 meetings are, and I see Commissioner Kellum.
Just for the sake of participating in discussion, I will continue to yield to the commission, but I can't sacrifice an entire Friday or Saturday because I'm thankful enough to have a job that allows flex time for this position, but I do use my weekends and all extra hours to accomplish my 40-hour work week for my other work. But as always, I will be here and be as productive as possible when I'm able to. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kellum. So I'm wondering in terms of process, we have I think a couple of ideas that have been floated. I'm wondering if we can help craft them, or how do help us, staff members and Secretary of State, please help us try to put together a proposal so we can give clarity and direction for you. Is there something that we can provide now? Edward.
I think it would be helpful if we just identify what we can do Monday, and then we can bring you, I don't know if you can hear me now, because
yes,
then we can bring you a recommendation to fill out the rest of the weeks. That will give us time to contact the universities and also contact our AV contractors to make sure that they're available for these extended times.
Thank you.
I see Secretary of State has her hand.
Thank you. Please, Secretary of State.
I would also note that in order to reserve space for additional days, the more time we have to make that happen, the better. So if a particular space isn't available, we can examine alternative spaces. So I'm happy to, if commission staff is able, connect in the interim between this meeting and next meeting and possibly come up with a proposal for your review during the next meeting.
That'd be wonderful. And that would be Monday, I believe. Is that correct?
I mean, the 5 p.m. meeting.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, that'd be even better.
I can't commit to that and what relates to the universities, but I just think if we could just get to Monday, that could help them obviously with some of the others. But
Okay.
just be clear as relates to the universities. Let me, get the exact time and work with the AV contractors
Got
to
it.
see if they're available.
So AV contractors and universities will sort of talk about on Monday, and potentially for the second half meeting, we'll understand if we can use Secretary of State facilities. And I do believe we have some tentative or reserved dates, some reserved Fridays. Do you need the commission right now to just say we want to hold those? Okay, so that's what we're looking at, I think, commissioners, right? We have some tentative dates, tentative Fridays that we wanted to hold. And I think what we're considering right now is actually saying we want to move from tentative to affirmative. And I'm seeing some nodding heads. Okay. And do we need anything more than that, General Counsel? Do we need to make an official motion in order to amend this calendar?
Yes, you would, Mr. Vice Chair, you would need an official motion. And again, the clarity being for the publishing of the notices, again, and I certainly hear the concern about the coordinating with the university tour and that. But for Monday and Tuesday of next week, whether the AV would be available. But yes, you would need a motion, a formal motion to amend your calendar that's already adopted.
Commissioner Weiss, sorry.
I move that we add Fridays to our calendar.
Thank you. And I see I'm going to wait for a second because I wonder if the Secretary of State needs a.
Yes, there was also the question of whether you would like to direct us to reserve space for Saturday, the 25th.
You want to keep going with your motion?
Yeah, and reserve space for Saturday, the 25th.
Commissioner Orton.
And can we add to that space earlier and later in the day?
Looking for options
on the
for
days
space.
that we have meetings.
Can you try to restate the option or the motion for us, Commissioner Witches?
Well, let's just do the dates first and handle the time separately.
Okay, we'll do the
That'd be
dates
most
first. And
appropriate. So the motion would be to add Fridays to our calendar as well as Saturday, the 25th.
is there a second? Okay, the second, Commissioner
No.
Lett.
Mm-mm.
Oh, sorry, Chair Zatella.
I just had I was going to ask if we can separate that motion because I would vote no on the Saturdays and I would vote yes on the Fridays. So I'm going to end up voting no because it's combined into one motion. So can we separate it to Fridays and Saturdays?
Are you willing to do that, Commissioner Witches?
Sure, I move that we add Fridays to the calendar.
And we have the same first and second. I do believe that I wonder if we have to, because we had one on the floor earlier, it was modified.
It's Mr. Chair, it's appropriate to divide the question. So you can separate it into two distinct questions, if that's what the commission chooses to do.
Yes, we do. Thank you. So we have a first and a second. All in favor of the motion to have, I'm going to try to restate it. Add Fridays to the calendar. Please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
One nay. The ayes have it and the motion is approved. Commissioner Witches.
I move that we add Saturday, the 25th to the calendar.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Lett has a second to add Saturdays to the calendar. General Counsel.
Just to clarify, Mr. Chair, the motion I logged was to add Saturday, the 25th to the calendar. So would it be add Saturday, the 25th or add Saturdays to the calendar? And again, the motion that was just adopted was to add Fridays, plural, to the calendar.
Correct.
So just clarification on the motion that Commissioner Witches stated was to add Saturday, the 25th to the calendar.
Let's change that. Let's add Saturdays to the calendar.
So the motion is to add Saturdays to the calendar. We have a second from Commissioner Lett. All in favor of the motion to add Saturdays to the calendar, please vote with an aye if you're in favor. Aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed, please say nay and raise your hand.
Nay.
Nay.
3 nays, and we need to capture this because I'm Commissioner Weiss.
I just got to have a quick question here. Since we have 2 commissioners that aren't here, could that possibly change the vote one way or the other? Could be in favor, or could be a negative. Does that make any difference? Do we need to consider that?
No, we not at this
Okay,
point because we have
just
quorum.
asking.
And Commissioner Orton, I saw your hand, and I do want to make sure that we clarify the vote
Yes.
to make sure that we have whether it passed or not.
Could commissioners who voted no, please raise your hand so I can count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the Secretary of State, do you have a pronouncement?
I believe the count was 5-5, so the motion would fail.
Thank you. Commissioner Orton.
I'll just make a comment. The reason I voted no, Saturdays, that's just kind of a blanket statement. It sounds like, how many Saturdays is that going to be? Without talking about the calendar and what our schedule is, I'm just not sure.
And to review, commissioners, we will be able to have more options later this afternoon at our second meeting. We will understand some more options, and then we will also hear from Communications Director Woods on Monday about other options. Commissioner Kerr, you have a hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say for the record that I am taking therapy, so I'm working around that. And also, I just had a sister that passed this morning, so I will be going to a funeral whenever they get the date ready.
I am
It
sorry
may
for
be a
your loss,
Saturday.
Commissioner Curry.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Commissioner Curry. With all that in mind, commissioners, we are at 3:52. I believe we have some other items on our agenda, and I'm going to pass it to our chair.
Yep, I will take back over. So moving on to agenda item 7, we have no meetings or minutes to approve today. Without objection, I will ask Communications and Outreach Director Edward Woods III to provide a staff report today. Please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you. Just want to inform the commission that we had a revised files that were sent to the press that were a little bit more user-friendly than the shape files that were initially provided. And they're saying thank you and appreciate that. And we're still on track for our test tomorrow with regards to updating this information on the website through my districting to make it user-friendly for the entire public to be able to access all the information.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. General Counsel, did you indicate that you also had an update?
I did, Madam Chair.
Okay, without objection,
update.
without objection, I will ask General Counsel to provide her update. And please proceed, General Counsel.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. On Wednesday, September 8th, during my general counsel report, I referenced a mandamus action that was filed against the MICRC in the Michigan Supreme Court. At that time, I noted that the action had not been properly served on the commission as a party under the Michigan court rules. I wanted to inform both the commission and the viewing public that today I received notice of a dispositive order from the Michigan Supreme Court, which granted the request for immediate consideration and simultaneously dismissed the complaint that was filed. So I just wanted to provide that very brief update. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Without objection, I will ask Sarah Reinhardt from the Michigan Department of State if she has a report.
Hello, Commissioners. No report from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Correspondence received in advance of our meeting today was provided along with written public comment to the commissioners in our meeting materials. It's my understanding there's no future agenda items to share at this time. Are there any announcements? All
There's one
right,
hand.
seeing none.
There's one
What?
hand here. There's one
Who's-
hand here. Commissioner Eid.
Who is it? Commissioner Eid?
I just want to take a moment to remind the public that we do have rules for public comment. We welcome your criticism I actually love hearing criticism for policy. But just please don't make it personal.
Thank
is
you,
all the
Commissioner
hands.
Eve. Yeah. As the items on the agenda have been completed and the commission has no further business, a motion to adjourn is in order. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner
Lett.
Kellum, seconded by Commissioner Lett. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. The ayes prevail and the meeting is adjourned at 3:56 p.m. Thank you, everybody.